Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me once again in our studio, Obii Ahamneze. Obii, you're welcome.
Thank you, Father.
Obii is a member of faculty of Terra Leadership Foundation. He is an international lawyer. He's a law teacher. Obii is visiting from Houston. Of course, he does business between the U.S. and here and other countries. And I want to welcome you back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And after your travels that we discussed about the last time, I'm happy to see that you are fully recovered. You are coming back to life fully.
I appreciate it. And I thank God for that.
Thank you.
In His mercy, yes, and grace.
Well. Yeah. You have spent a few days in Nigeria, a few weeks actually. You have been to the east. You have been in Lagos. You have been to the east, and you are in Abuja. Have you noticed what I call the two worlds that Nigeria has become? The world of the rich and the world of the poor. You visited an IDP camp, and yesterday you were at Mass, where we made an appeal for displaced people who are living in conditions that are just unbefitting of human beings. We made an appeal for some donations towards them. What have you seen? You grew up in this country in the 60s and 70s, and you saw perhaps a reasonably more, I wouldn't say equal society, but a more humane environment where the gap between the rich and the richest person in society and the poorest person in society was not so much. I mean, I went to a school, primary school and also secondary school, where the king of the place and the poorest local farmer, palm wine tapper, or whatever he was, shoemaker, we went to the same school. There were no private schools. There were no special schools. I went to a government secondary school, and everybody attended that. I went to a Catholic school where everybody in primary school, where everybody attended. You were the richest man's child or you were the poorest person's child. You went to the same school. Now, see what we have. Whether it is university, or it is secondary school, or it is primary, or even nursery, we have a class. The poor children don't meet the rich children anymore. The rich children don't know what the poor children look like. Whether it is school, or quarters where people live, or where people shop, we no longer have open market for everybody. Meaning the rich people have the kind of market they go, the kind of supermarkets they go, and the poor people have the kind of market they go. So rich and poor, they don't meet anymore. The kind of rickety motorcycles and keke napep three-wheelers that the poor people take and go around, and the kind of either private jet or aeroplanes or expensive SUVs that the poor, the rich used to go around. Have you noticed this?
I have to take a deep breath, because what I've seen, I've not seen Nigeria in this kind of state before. I visit fairly often, as you know very well. It is like we're creating an apartheid state, an economic apartheid state.
You're calling it apartheid?
I'm calling it
apartheid we fought.
The apartheid we fought in South Africa, that whole squalor in South Africa, where Nigeria was very active and a frontline state at that. But here it's come back to us. Look, in development, the problem you have is that people have scarcity of resource, and the management of those resources are really what you try to do and all that. But in Nigeria, the reverse is our problem is management of plenty. And for some reason, instead of learning how to bust this into the hands of as many people as you can, our people have learned how to bottleneck it. So it stays only in a few places, it trickles only to a few places, and the other people just stay with nothing. To the point where there is the level of destitution is really alarming. And to the point where I'm saying, look, you just don't have a divide that is growing bigger now. You have a chasm.
It's a chasm.
You have that now. So literally, I mean, and a lot of people, when you have a chasm, people fall into it. So the leadership must be cognizant of what is going on, or else they lose their people. When you lose your people, I don't think that, I don't think you like the consequences.
But when you say the leadership, perhaps the leadership are completely insensitive and indifferent to what is going on, because
they have become that.
Yeah, because we see the quality of their own life,
right?
What they surround themselves with, from the motorcades that the leaders take around, the number of SUVs and burning fuel. I mean, just to take somebody to the airport or to drive around within town. We see the luxury, the extravagance, the flamboyance. And along the road where there are squalors, and you are saying to yourself, are our leaders thinking?
You have an incredible level of destitution. I mean, even before, people have their dignity where they don't come to you and beg for money to eat. But this time, that's all I saw.
That's thrown through the window.
That's all I saw this time. And I was shocked by it. And if you do the calculus, a person earns, 30, 40, 50,000. And the boss they have to pay for, this keke boss you referenced, and it costs close to 80,000 in a month. So how do you square that circle? Where is he going to get money to eat and feed? And if you have family, how you pay their school fees? How do you square that circle? How you make the ends meet? This is a challenge that the people are becoming more and more insensitive to, because as you ride in your SUVs, and those are tinted and all of that stuff, you have all this entourage following up and down. You just, okay, let them eat cake kind of environment. This is what we're becoming. This is let them eat cake moment for Nigeria. And it's got something has to give. They have to be more sensitive to it. For example, looking at all over Abuja, I see people, the banners that are on every polls and over re-election and all of that, but the people, you talk about re-election when, the first election that they have, people have not benefited anything from it. It is traumatic. You have an institute that runs the psychosomatic institute that deals with all this stuff. The level of trauma right now is amazing.
It's incredible.
The level of people feel individually, and they're ashamed to go out and beg, but that's what they're doing. And this emasculates that. Humanity is completely emasculated. Mm-hmm. It is a problem, and that the leaders must visit.
You went to an IDP camp, right?
I did, for a whole day. And then it's shocking. I went to an IDP camp and looked at it, and I was looking at some of these who have been there, 10 years or more.
Yes.
And
yes.
all around them, surrounded by, affluence. You see all this, developments all around them. And you see people living in abject poverty and squalor.
Why would anyone be in an IDP camp for 5 years? In his or her own country for 5? Why would anyone? I mean, yesterday, the appeal we got is for some IDP where there are 9,000 people. Why would anyone be in an IDP camp for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years in their own country? Their society cannot resettle them.
And then that IDP camp, I'm sorry to say, is permanent.
It's permanent.
Yes, it is permanent. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that we're getting into permanency here. And that is really disturbing. That IDP camp displaced people, it's becoming permanent. Because one of the teachers that I run into, the head teacher
in the school there.
In the school there, she said she visited her place and she could not recognize her old place because the whole place it's completely burnt down and all that, and was just taken over by others. And then she just looked at it and briefly just said, well,
It's over.
there's not, that used to be my town. And so we're getting to the place where now we're getting to say, there used to be a country. There used to be a country. You know, Chinua Achebe wrote a book about that, you know, in other contexts, Biafra and all that. There used to be a country. But here in Nigeria now, that used to be a country. It's now literally what we're talking about now. There used to be a country where, you know, the children of the rich and the poor, where you could go to the same school and interact together. You have the middle class, and in a substantive middle class, where people were able to, when you get out of the university, even high school, you know that you can make a living wage out of what happens.
Our secondary school teachers, our primary school teachers, our secondary school teachers were middle class.
Of course.
Not to talk of university teachers who were super middle class.
Well, of course.
Now, the professor who earns 500,000 a month, 500,000 a month, 500,000 is what you need to fly from Enugu to Lagos and back.
Oh, of course. No, literally.
Yeah, that's all it
that's
means.
it. One time, one flight.
One flight.
One flight.
Yes, one return flight.
That's it.
For a professor of 20, I mean, professor has been professor for 10 years. He's been teaching for 30 years. That's all a person earns in the Nigerian economy.
So it's either you take the road, you go by road.
Yes.
And all the hazards in it. Or you don't go to your conferences or do whatever you need to do.
Yes.
And definitely, well, how about continents in traveling abroad? Can you imagine that? Wrap that around your head.
I mean, it's, and I'm saying, is $300 really all a professor of mathematics in Nigeria, the output of a professor of mathematics, of physics, of history, $300 a month is all he or she is worth? Is that what we are saying? And I was reading a few days ago that somebody said the Naira is overvalued. Even now, they say it's overvalued.
At the rate of exchange and overvalued.
Yes, somebody was writing that the Naira is overvalued. So that's why my own question is, are you saying that a professor of mathematics in Nigeria is entitled to his worth, the worth of his work for the entire year or for the entire month is $300?
We're simply encouraging brain drain. That is the easy way to lose those who have it and who could inculcate this knowledge into people. I mean, easily. The next thing, you give that person an opportunity, they're out of here. And then who raises the next generation? It
used to be that when people finish university and make first class, the university retains the person.
Of course.
And the university trains you to become a teacher. You do a master's there, you do a PhD, and you become a teacher. But anyone with a first class and many people with second class upper, they are not staying in the university.
No,
they don't want to be teachers.
I mean, are the third class people willing to stay here, let alone, first class? And no. The point is that there comes a time when the country decides, look, we need to start putting some things in order. And you begin, first of all, from a living wage perspective. Get the people and then satiate them. And then you move on to other things. But so long as they're not able to put a daily meal on their table, you're inviting, I mean, I'm not, calling for revolution and all that. Far be it from that. That's not what this program is all about. But President Kennedy, in his inaugural address, said those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent ones inevitable.
Well, recently there has been some exchanges in the press and in the social media about, people should not call for revolution because revolution is a terrible thing. All of us will be destroyed. French Revolution, every other revolution, the Arab Spring, they didn't end well for the countries. And my response, I have responded to some of those, my response is that no, it is not the activists who are calling for revolution.
Right.
It is the leaders
that are
pushing people towards revolution.
They're inviting it.
So whoever is writing, whether it's Showore or whoever, they are making some noise, yes, but actually those who are pushing the people, driving Nigerians mad. That's the way I express
The
it.
policymakers.
Yeah, driving Nigerians mad. They are the ones calling for revolution because certain circumstances are not sustainable. Like I talk about the gap between the rich and the poor is too much. It's not sustainable. They say that islands of wealth amidst a sea of poverty can't survive.
Well, no.
The sea will swallow up the island.
We're talking about sustainability. It is not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Something will give.
Yes.
Something must give. It is, you pull a chain too long, it will snap. It is just simply it. We all love Bob Marley, but we remember when he said, "A hungry man is an angry man." So people are hungry. Please be, may it be well with you. Wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow will be okay and all that. But in the meantime, today he has to live. I mean,
it is. What do we say, Obii? What do we say to privileged Nigerians? I mean, those of us who are privileged Nigerians, what should we take seriously now? Because I'm saying, if this present situation is not sustainable, where you have around Abuja, for example, every sprawling estate where you have the rich, the rich have their palatial mansions, just look next door. There is a slum. There is a slum, and the slum may have 10 times the population in the estate. And you have it all around the cities of Abuja, of Lagos, of Port Harcourt, and so on and so forth. And I'm saying this is new. Because when I grew up, the poorest person, the road mender, the farmer, the palm wine tapper, that's his house. That's the rich person's house. People lived together. You had communities, African family system, kindred system. And it was not according to class that we lived. We lived together. Right now, we have such a terrible, you call it apartheid, such a terribly divided society that I don't see how we can survive like this for long.
Naturally, we all know, like all hands, fingers are not all equal. But in society, people don't begrudge the rich. It's not the way, you aim to do better. Raise your children to be like them. You have something to look forward to. But when it is a deliberate policy, not to starve people, literally by not paying them a living wage, you are inviting them to, begin to think in a way that is deleterious, to the livelihood, to their livelihood, and as well as the national livelihood as well. The nation must do better. The policymakers must, this is a matter of urgency. It is a matter of urgency. Hunger does not wait till tomorrow.
We have an existential threat.
It is an existential crisis. I mean, it is an existential crisis. I don't know. I mean, if 100,000 naira is not a livable wage.
It's not, by today's standard.
By today's standard, 100,000 is not a livable wage. Because if you pay 80 going to where you need to go, it means that the whole month, all you have is 20 to survive. What if you have 3, 4, 5 children as they normally do? What happens?
Members of the elite class buy fuel, average of 70, 80,000 to fill the tank.
For a day?
No, fill the tank. Maybe it can last a week, but
okay.
Just to fill the tank of a car. Now, and I'm saying, and you give that money to your staff as a living wage with for his family
for a month.
How do you feel when you do that?
It is not sustainable. I return to this theme of sustainability. It means if you cannot make things sustainable for people, they start thinking about alternative, how do I, people, so when their children come out and bring wealth, parents are now no longer, they look the other way. They no longer ask them, where did you bring it from?
Oh, yes.
They no longer do that.
The whole Yahoo phenomenon.
Absolutely. They no longer look that way. I mean, sort of like, so parents now start buying into that. Before you know it, this is the numbing of the soul. Mm-hmm. You start numbing the soul. You start numbing it and you accept it. It's okay.
Normalization of abnormality.
You normalize, yeah, absolutely, becomes normalized. And therein lies our danger. Therein lies our danger. Apartheid. We are learning to grow apartheid. We are learning to grow chasm. We're learning to teach people how not to sustain their lives. And therefore,
I have been complaining and screaming about this, but my shock is that a number of my brothers and sisters, my people, are just not comfortable. They appear comfortable with what they are saying. As long as, when did we become so self-centered, so selfish, that as long as I can take care of my own immediate family, it's okay? As long as this policy that is damaging to 90% of Nigerians, as long as it favors me in some selfish way, it's okay. That's a very dangerous...
Well, if you can assure me that one finger brings oil and the other ones will not be touched, that's okay. But you know naturally that's not the way it works. That finger touches oil, the other ones will be salt. So which means as long as they're feeling that they're comfortable, it's that level of comfort may not be
you are enough. You grew up in this place. We used to pride ourselves with familyhood as a system. That our kindred means a lot to us. We used to identify ourselves according to our kindred, our family. And we say that I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am.
I am, yes.
Now, when did Nigerians become so selfish, so self-centered?
I don't know where that road turned. I've been trying to wrap that around my head. Where did we lose it? Where did we miss the boat? When did we become such a self-centered culture? That whole idea that the Americans and the Europeans try to quote, it takes a village to raise somebody.
That is how they described Africans.
That's exactly, and then they're trying to say that they want to emulate that concept because they like it. But now this village that used to raise people are now everybody on
his own.
Everybody on your own. To your tent, all Israel.
Go to your area, for example, and you see huge mansions inside the bush.
Right.
But there's no road to the place.
No. Well, but look, Nigeria is really one of those easiest countries to govern because the people, the private energies are incredible.
Yes.
Forget about the public energies. The private energies give us a road. These days we're not asking for water because people drill their own boreholes. Just give us a road and lights here and there, and be able to be a good arbiter of people's issues.
Yes.
And that's all. Get out of the way. Let the private energies drive this. Nigerians are incredible, and this is why wherever they go abroad, they do so well, because we believe in ourselves. We don't believe in handouts. Lend a little helping hand. But our people these days, they see that being grown up to become rich people means excluding others. Yes.
No. So that's a philosophical error, actually.
Of course.
That people measure their success by how much they
exclude.
Yeah, they exclude.
Instead of integrating.
Yes.
When you integrate, actually, again, you integrate. Some people talk about this concept of room, that individually you can break them, but together is yes.
Why would you measure your greatness, your success, by how much you are more than others?
It's amazing, and because you've learned to live in gated communities now. The high walls, the barbed wires, and all that. We've learned to do that.
Yes.
And that whole concept of openness no longer exists.
So the walls and the gates indicate closeness.
Right.
In the traditional society, it was open.
It was openness. And now, so it is actually what you see is a metaphor for what is happening inside. So you see all these gated communities and then the walls around them high, they're higher, and then when they go on the road, they don't care. Have you put your siren on, everybody get out of the way and let me get to where I'm going. But if you actually build good roads, they don't have to do that. Everybody will get there.
On this note, we'll be bringing this discussion to an end. We will need to have a second segment to discuss these two worlds that Nigeria has become. I've been speaking with Obii Ahamneze. He's an international lawyer, a law teacher in the US. And we are lamenting, actually, I can call it that, lamenting about the apartheid system that Nigeria has become. Extremely rich versus extremely poor.
Absolutely.
Such a situation, Obii says, is not sustainable. And the leaders must take serious note of that. That situation is not sustainable. Obii, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
we'll have a
Thank you
second
for,
segment.
Thank you.